It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru, Sanda, Amadu. Tonight, I'm here with
Akosua, Otchere.
And coming up over the next 90 minutes, Parliamentary Committee on vote of censure against Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta begins on a rancorous note, as members appear to have taken entrenched party positions on how to deal with the issue. Tonight we ask, will this end anywhere? Also coming up, Anas Arimiao Anas promises Galamsey but delivers financial investments instead. We get public reactions to his latest work, which claimed a minister even before he was aired. And later on Eyewitness News, some aggrieved members of the NDC in the Tiwa West constituency of the Eastern region want the Functional Executive Committee of the party to uphold an earlier decision to annul the constituency elections, which were conducted under what they describe as strange circumstances. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and many other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
LPG Marketers Association predicts a 25% decline in use of products by the end of the year.
That's in 50 minutes from the Citi Business Desk. Eyewitness News is live across Ghana on a number of affiliate stations, including Tumpani Radio 88.5 FM in Nandoli. In the Upper East region, we're on Rikas 92.1 FM in Bongo Namo. In the Northern region, we are live on North Star Radio 92.1 FM in Tamale. In the Northeast region, Eyewitness News is live on Nobia FM 98.1 in Nalerigo. In the Western region, we are live on Beach 105.5 FM in Takrady. In the Ashanti region, tune to Eyewitness News on Focus 94.3 FM on the campus of the KNUST and Orange 107.9 FM also in Kumasi. If you go to the Volta region, we are live on Sela Radio 97.1 FM in Dabala and Holy 98.5 FM in Afplau. Eyewitness News is interactive. Do join us on our various platforms. You can drop a message on our WhatsApp platform 0549 986 996 0549 986 996. Or if you're watching us on Facebook, where we are currently live, drop your comments under the live feed that you're watching, and the world will get to know what you think. Eyewitness News is live from number 11 Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. Let's start off with Ken Ofori-Atta, the Minister of Finance, who's got enemies not just from the opposition party, but from his own party. At least 80 MPs, according to what their leaders said, had called a press conference demanding his removal, and this was after the minority had moved, or rather applied for him to be removed through a parliamentary process known as a vote of censure. Subsequent to that, there was a meeting. The president asked for more time. That more time was granted. But the vote of censure proceedings are proceeding anyway, and a committee has been set up to look into the work or the allegations that have been brought against the Minister of Finance. That committee had even numbers of NPP and NDC, 4 NPP MPs, 4 NDC MPs, 1 NDC chairman, 1 MPP chairman. So there are 2 co-chairmen. Katie Hammond from Adansia Square of the MPP is a co-chair, and Dr. Dominic Ayine, former deputy AG and MP for Bolga East, also a chair. And it took off on a very rancorous note. Even on agreeing who runs the show was a bit difficult watching from afar. And the agreements and the positions appear to have been towing party lines or partisan lines, which is actually what we saw in the world of Parliament before that committee was created. Now, while all of this is happening, there's a group of MPs, at least 90 of them, who are saying that they're not going to hear the finance minister when he appears before Parliament. We'll be hearing from them. But first, let's look at the work of the Committee of Parliament. Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante is Director of Advocacy and Policy Engagement at the Center for Democratic Development, Ghana. He's also a member of the Coalition for Democratic Accountability and Inclusive Governance, the Citizens Coalition. Doc, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Good evening, Umaru. Good evening to your listeners.
Did you watch the committee's work on TV or on radio, and what was your initial reaction?
I watched a bit of it. First of all, this is unprecedented in the sense that, in next year will be 30 years of constitutional rule, and we haven't really exercised this too tool that Parliament has for censuring ministers, for non-performance and their removal. So this is novel, and already I think it's raised many procedural issues. People have raised questions about, the procedures that are used and so on and so forth. But it's uncharted territory. It's new. I have been very unhappy with the judicialization of the process, because it's just become like a courtroom. And these things were not meant to be that way. It was meant to be a debate, an establishment of facts in parliamentary style, like you have any kind of hearing, but it's just, I don't know whether because there are just too many lawyers leading these kinds of processes, it becomes a thing about leading evidence and so on, and their objections and all of those kinds of things. I think that is not helpful, because when you are a member of parliament and you are not a lawyer, it doesn't look like then, if you don't have that confidence, for you to be able to do your job. And we've had too many of these fact-finding platforms where it has become almost like a courtroom in the past, in the Fourth Republic. And I think we really need to move away from that type of fact-finding process. So that part of that I find very frustrating, and also very frustrated because I don't understand why we even are at this point. We've always raised, at least from a citizen coalition point of view, that this, in a crisis, you want the country to move together. You really need the country to move together. We're going to need everybody to make sure that even whatever we agree with the IMF, it can be implemented. Regimes might change and so on. So having to now spend time on resolving this question about whether the finance minister should go and so on and so forth, I think, this could have been dealt with long time ago if the president had listened to all of us, saying that you need to make that confidence boosting, that morale boosting action that, okay, yes, this is the situation. People say the finance minister must go. Once you take the person out, it takes the tension out, and then it allows you to focus on the business of the day. Unfortunately, we are now in this space and the start of war, and still our crisis hasn't gone anywhere.
So you think there's some legal bullying happening in the chamber, but let's look at the main issues that came out. So first of all, the issues had to be set out, and that's what lawyers will do. They did that because he was there with his counsel, and they had to agree on all these issues. And then the persons who were making the allegations have had to come and make their submissions and be questioned, and that has happened. But at the end of the day, we know that this is a committee of even numbers. So the question would be, so what? We are going to go back to the same thing, aren't we?
Yeah, and that's the point I make about even the procedure, because if it's about, and I'm sure you have also seen parliamentary inquiries and debates and stuff in other jurisdictions. You set the rules for basic facts to be established. It doesn't become contested. Some of those things are even resolved so that it's not what are really the matters in play that have to be discussed. So that you can focus on issues maybe that are contested. But the way it's been done, as you said, if they, whether or not they would even agree to a particular recommendation, you are likely to get it back to the chamber. And given the numbers, the MPP has already indicated that they are not going to participate in the censure debates or whatever it is. So I think it's unhelpful. And the same minister is the one that's supposed to be preparing for a budget hearing. I don't even understand. Now the MPP caucus is saying they don't want to deal with him. So I am thinking about the thing that is staring us in the face. And sometimes, you see, these legal processes might be, I look attractive way to resolve these things. But sometimes it's just political. It's just political. If right now the president exercises his powers to say, okay, fine, I'm moving on with the minister or whatever, or even came to some agreement and said, yes, the minister presented the budget next week. After that, he's gone or whatever. Maybe there can be some resolution around these things rather than sort of going around the issue. And you can imagine investors who are looking at this situation and say, there's too much chaos. We don't have certainty. We cannot trust government that they'll be able to carry this process forward. So there are real going to be consequences for us. And we expect our leaders and our political class to read the room and find ways to help resolve the issues that really, really matter to us at the end of the day. And some of these processes, I think, does not, for me, it doesn't really help. As I said, it's novel. It's good that it's happening, but I feel in the crisis that we want, maybe a political solution is a better thing. And the president has a lot of responsibility to make sure that we are focused on the business of the day, which is trying to get fiscal consolidation, trying to ease the burden of Ghanaians. We haven't heard from the ministers who were supposed to be engaging with us on the specifics that the president promised us around trying to mitigate some of the symptoms of city depreciation and high inflation. So that's I hope you understand my frustration.
I got frustration because I was going to ask you, and I'm even worried because even if I ask you, it's going to be even worse. I was going to say to you that do you see any hope coming out of the Chamber of Parliament?
Well, I mean, as I said, the budget is supposed to be read on the 24th. I don't know if it's going to move again or we are sticking with the date. If we're sticking with the date, then I guess it's one timeline that probably helps everybody find some resolution to this so we can move on. And as I've said, it's not also just the finance minister that people have to raise questions about. We have called for the president to do some reshuffle because, as I said, even during the crisis, the early parts of the crisis, none of the ministers were out there even putting proposals together. And meanwhile, they are there. That's their portfolio. They are supposed to help take care of, address these kinds of things. So there's so much inertia, and we need some new blood. We need some new energy to take us into this, last few years of the Akosua regime, because we have very big problems and we need leadership. So I really feel like, yes, the time frame is a very short one. Maybe within a week, we'll have a resolution on this matter. And then we can get to the business of really governing and solving the problems of the everyday man and woman.
Let's leave it here. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Doc.
You're okay. You're welcome.
That's Dr. Kojo Asante. He's Director of Advocacy and Policy Engagement at CDD Ghana. Alhaji Yunusa Husseini is a former MP for Tamale Central and he's a lawyer. He was a teacher before becoming a lawyer. I spoke to him the day the committee was set up, and he said he thought the committee was needless. The House should have dealt with the matter of Ken Ofori-Atta, so we had a clear heading and moved on from there. Well, he is not the chair of the House. He's not the leader of the House. The Speaker took a decision, and the decision was that there should be a bipartisan committee. Observing the work of the committee from his house, what does he make of it? Does he feel vindicated, or he would change his mind now about a committee being set up for this particular issue? Alhaji, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. So I've asked a question in two ways. Would you say you are sorry it was good that a committee was set up watching day one of proceedings, or you would say I should give you your stone?
Well, Umaru, Sanda, first of all, let me say good evening to you and your cherished listeners, and good evening to Kojo Asante, who just spoke. Umaru, I don't feel vindicated. I don't feel vindicated at all. My worst fear has come to pass. Now look, like Kojo Asante said, we're wasting too much time on something that ought to have been resolved expeditiously. We're in a crisis. Now, Article 82 provides the only constitutional legal way of getting the people through their representatives to remove a minister. Now you have 95 members of parliament. And the last time I heard Andy Apia Kube, he said 98. Members of parliament of the majority side say they won't do business, government business, with Kenu Forata. You have 136 members of parliament of the minority who says that they want the minister removed, and so they are filing a motion. The net effect of the 98 and 136 is that 234 members of parliament are calling for the removal of the Minister of Finance. 234 out of 275, you are left with 41. 41 is less than 1/3 members of parliament. And so, if the 98 members of the majority just carry through their threat, and 136 members of parliament say they have no confidence in the minister, and that's why they filed a motion of censure. And so they wouldn't be present for the budget hearing. Parliament will not have a quorum for the purposes of Kenoforata presenting the budget. This is a dire situation. That is why I thought that when the motion of censure was passed, and I agree to a very large extent with Dr. Bojo Asante. I mean, if you look at the history of Parliament, it's the people's representatives. The voice of the people is carried through their representatives in Parliament. They are not saying that we want to go to court. Nobody is imputing criminality. Kenoforata is not going to go to jail. They're saying that the abysmal performance, the controversies surrounding Kenoforata, the fact that he has said to us publicly that he did not believe that an IMF was a solution to Ghana's problems. The fact that he had been sent to Chirac before on conflict of interest. Too many the policies, the misreporting as alleged by the minority. We can no longer rely on Kenoforata. Why is it difficult for the president to listen to the majority of Ghanaians as represented in parliament through their members of parliament? I fail to see that. I fail to see why the president is refusing to act. And I've said it. The failure of the president to act on this call on 234 members of parliament calling for the sacking of Kenoforata by the president is probably the height of impunity. Because you cannot treat majority of Ghanaians whose voices are being carried by their members of parliament in parliament with contempt.
Now, this is not the first time there's a call for him to be removed, even from the majority side. This new number you are quoting, over 90 of them, it may make no difference again, because the last time they were so sure that they were going to get their way. But when they met with the president, he managed to convince them. Do you not see that by the time the budget day comes, the executive would have found a way of whipping its members in line like you guys do in parliament?
In fact, Umaru Sanda, if this had been a parliamentary democracy, the government of the NPP would have collapsed by now. You have your own members of parliament passing in a vote of no confidence in the decision of the head of state in maintaining a minister in office. You think that's a light matter? They are calling into question the actions and inactions of the president in the face of our dire economic conditions. I think that it is time the president listened. After all, Article 1 states it clearly that the powers of government must be exercised for the welfare of the people, not the welfare of family members of the president. So the president must listen.
But the same constitution you quote says that the president has the executive authority to appoint a minister. That minister serves at his pleasure. It does not say that the president shall appoint a minister in consultation with the nation or through the nation's representatives in parliament. Now,
That is exactly what it says.
but this is a man.
Umaru.
No, it will ask for the people to endorse, and they've already done the endorsement several years ago. And they've said that they like him. He should go ahead, and despite everything, they have approved him. Now,
Yes.
he says this is a man he's comfortable with to help him get the economy out of the doldrums. You are asking him to bring someone else. If he brings that person and that person fails, can you truly blame him?
So first of all, let's unpack the exercise of the executive authority of the president to appoint ministers of state has an institutional limitation. He cannot do it. He cannot appoint ministers of state without parliamentary approval. So that power of appointment is limited by the power of parliament to approve. Now that power of parliament to approve is the power parliament derives in its representative capacity. So the people approve the minister through their representatives in parliament. Now when the members of parliament exercising the powers conferred on them by the people they represent approve a minister, the only authority that they have to remove or reject the minister is through a motion of censure in parliament. And so that motion is not used lightly. So when you read Article 82 carefully, there are timelines, there are conditions, there are procedures, or there's a procedure outlined in Article 82. So both the substantive law and the adjectival law, or if you want procedural law, is contained in Article 82. Article 82. So 1/3 of members of parliament must sign a petition, must sign the motion. The motion must lie in parliament for 7 days, constituting notice. The motion must be debated within 14 days. So you can, you must start the debate within 14 days. Now, the motion, in debating the motion, the minister must be given an opportunity to be heard in his defense. So you cannot conclude the motion without listening to the minister. The motion is carried by 2/3 majority of members of parliament. So the high threshold clearly, and the timelines indicated in Article 82, clearly points to us to a direction that clearly requires an expeditious resolution of the matter. It's not a trial. If you want, go back and look at the French Revolution and the Bastille, how trials were conducted, or how investigations were conducted in Parliament. It is not a trial. They're just saying that they have lost confidence in you, that they don't think that you can move Ghana out of the doldrums, that your past actions do not give them confidence. And if the powers of government are to be exercised for the welfare and benefit of the people of Ghana, then the president is bound to listen.
What options are left, you reckon, for the House of Parliament in this matter?
You see, you recall when the committee was formed, I said, yes, even though we are in novel territory, uncharted waters, But I have said that you don't form a committee of that nature with two chairmen. You see, leadership and responsibility is important anytime the committee of parliament is to be established, whether standing, select, special, or ad hoc. Composition of the membership is equally important. Why? Because of decision making. Committees of parliament make decisions on the basis of unanimity or consensus. Unanimity when they all agree. Consensus when they vote to determine the issue. Now, if you form a committee of equal membership, and all the members of the committee line up behind their respective chairmen, how will you resolve issues at the committee level?
There was actually a scenario. There was a scenario where Katie Hammond, a co-chair, made a determination, and his co-chair, Dr. Ayine, disagreed. But he said to him in plain words that if you disagree, you really have no choice, because I have 4 people on my side or 3 people on my side. You have 3. What are you going to do? You challenge my vote? What are you going to do? Yeah, you're going to challenge my vote, and it will end nowhere anyway.
Nowhere. Yeah, right. Well, like I said.
So the challenge died on arrival.
Yeah. It died in living. Even though Kujasatu says we should.
He said don't use a lot of legal jargons.
Legal jargons. Yes. So I think that is the problem the committee will be faced with. And recent events in Parliament does not give it comfort at all. Even with the Privileges Committee, where there is a clear majority and minority members on the committee, they refused or neglected to arrive at a decision when they were so tasked with the enforcement of Article 971C. And so, yes, I think that what the Speaker, and I agree with Muntaka, I agree with Cletus Avoka, I agree with Mama Yerga. I think that the Speaker should have allowed debate. After all, the members of the proponents of the motion were and are still under a duty to convince some members of the majority that their motion has merit. And so, if they allowed a debate, probably the minority members will be able to convince some of the majority to come to their side and vote for them. In any case, probably the minority members of parliament have not fully grasped what Ken Ofori-Atta has been doing in his office. And that is why the Constitution says that he must be heard in defense.
Let's leave it.
If the matter were allowed to take its natural course under Article 82, probably this matter would have been long dealt with. They would have been waiting on the president to exercise his executive authority under Article 58 to change the minister or continue him in office with dire consequences for the country.
Thank you. Let's leave it here for now. We will be coming back to you after Friday, and maybe when the committee presents its work on Monday, or we do not know when it will be doing that, but it's been given 7 working days. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
They have extended it.
Yeah, thank you. That's Alhaji Nusaf Hussaini. He's former Tamale Central MP, former Minister for Roads and Highways, former Minister Deputy for Energy, and also former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. So we're discussing the ad hoc committee in Parliament, 8-member committee, sitting on the censure motion brought against Ken Ofori-Atta, the Minister of Finance. Let's give you a flavor of what transpired in case you didn't hear it.
Raised. We do not know which one they are talking about. If you go further, let me just skip to the last charge 7. It says gross mismanagement of the Ghanaian economy, which has occasioned untold and unprecedented hardship. If you give us PIAC report, if you give us staff reports of 2018, 2019, 2020, with all due respect, it would take us about maybe 2 months to go through all that. And it would not be fair to the Minister of Finance to be ambushed and right here, without any preparation, to start answering questions. And in any event, Mrs. Chairman, if we do not constrain the accusers within the four walls of what they intend...
I think he objects to being called an accuser.
Well, how would you like
to... Very, very strongly. I mean, if I quote the president when he himself says that there
I do apologize.
In crisis,
I do apologize.
We are...
I do apologize. May I just... I do apologize.
And then, Chairman, if you can just 1 minute, you see...
let me just finish.
21st June 2022,
I don't want to get involved.
Appeared and gave us evidence that Data Bank benefited 159 million between 2017 to 2021 from bonds issued and from borrowing. And then, Chairman, as I said, National Cathedral, we see a warrant signed by the minister for 142.7 million. Who tendered that in evidence? Who back it with evidence? Thank you.
Mrs. Chairman, first of all, my apologies for calling you an accuser. Mrs. Chairman, all we are asking for, and if I just, let me just repeat, before we start this proceeding, all we are asking for, in the interest of justice, is that we should be furnished with the full particulars of the facts in support of each of the allegations contained in the letter. And then, the supporting documents.
If I may. Yeah, Counsel, are you aware that from the Hansard report, payments were made to Data Bank? You are aware of that?
It is obvious.
Very well.
Among others.
Yeah. Among others. Yeah. All right. And the Finance Minister stands in a relationship with Data Bank, does he not?
Finance Minister is a co-founder of Data Bank.
Okay.
And he's not the first Finance Minister to be a founder of a bank.
Well, that is a historical
fact. But he founded
fact.
It before
very well. Very well.
What about the resignations? I read something about he resigned from directorship.
Honorable K.T. Amon, can I land? It's important. It's important. It's important. It's important.
What about is he still a member? Whatever.
He resigned, I believe, in 2014 or 2012.
Yeah, but he's a shareholder, is he not? Oh, no, Counsel, please. You made a constitutional objection based upon the content. Content. Okay.
You're not aware of the full fact on that.
Respectfully,
yes.
I am saying that there's nothing wrong with Parliament asking a Minister of Finance about
payments made to his company. Very well.
But in this particular instance, the charge or allegation or ground for his removal through the process of vote of censure is specifically about conflict of interest. I think let's not try to...
I think we had enough of this. Yes. We had enough. Thank you very much.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Stop lying to us. Stop deceiving us. He was not even close to the pole. That is why I bought this Samsung television. This football season, it is Samsung all the way.
Enjoy massive discount, up to 15% discount on selected items. Enjoy this new football season on a new Samsung television. With as big as 98 inches Samsung television, you are covered. Gas cookers, split ACs, different types of washing machines, and many more.
It don't be today. My grandfather was Samsung. My father too was Samsung. Me myself, I be Samsung. My uncle will be Samsung.
Enjoy up to 15% discount on selected items. Go for it now. Go for Samsung. Samsung, our passion, our game.
A bank that supports you, a bank that cares for you. Hand in hand, we stand with you. So lift your head up, big dreams await We'll walk with you wherever you go. Where all your dreams come alive. CBG will make you smile. No matter what. We will rise with you. Your business will flourish. Your name will stand out. Consolidated Bank, CBG. We stand with you.
We're sorry to interrupt this program for a breaking news story. Information reaching us is that the whole country has been thrown into a state of joy and excitement about the new look of Total Energies lubricants. Our correspondent Kwame Owusu is standing by to bring us the very latest developments. Kwame, what exactly is the situation where you are?
Emmanuel, I must say there's a huge crowd here with drivers and customers extremely excited about the new Total Energies lubricants bottle. I have with me here one of the drivers. Hello, boss.
Yes,
you are live on Quartz 202.1 FM. Tell us the reason for your joy.
My name is War, and for 10 years, I use only Total Energies lubricants for efficiency and performance of my car engine. With a new bottle, it's easier to read, carry, and pour. New bottle design and color, new label, new cap, and security features with a QR code. Massa is the same superior oil quality. Challenge, this is performance at third sight.
So you heard it right. Total Energies lubricants bottle have been entirely redesigned into a modern and premium pack to give you the best experience. Reporting live from the capital, this is Kwame Owusu.
Quartz, keep your engine younger for longer.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back to Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are coming to you from our studios in Adabraka in Accra. Around the globe, we're on citinewsroom.com. We are also on Facebook Live. My name is Umaru, Sanda, Amadu here with Akosua, Otchere, and we are bringing you stories that are making the headlines today, and the big stories that is. And one of the stories we are looking at is the Ad Hoc Committee of Parliament, which has been started sitting yesterday, and the initial issues that have come up. We are also looking at Anas Arimiao Anas. Recall his latest Galamsey, known as Galamsey, not Galamsey documentary, Galamsey Economy. He has done the public screening, but even before the public screening, there was an issue about the Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, Charles Edubuahin. He was sacked by the president. Usually what Anas does is he shares his video with the audience that come to the venue that he advertises for the screening. So that happened at the conference center on Monday. Tonight he has released excerpts, or not really the excerpt, the full documentary on his Facebook page. I'm just going to play excerpt for you. Listen.
Once we are on the process of opening this bank, okay, we lie with that.
Edubuahin was then presented with some money by the investigators who posed as investors as part of the undercover sting.
We like to do the percentage that for him. It is not a problem.
You know, it's hard to come up with a percentage because I don't know the amount of work involved.
When it comes to the percentages, it says that, for instance, if it is about 100, let's say million. He said that's too small figure for me to mention.
So that's just a video we're playing for you from Anas Arimi Anas's Facebook page. The audio, not that audible, but it is a footage that shows the minister, well, now former Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, Charles Edubuahin, seated in a chair in what looks like a hotel room, facing a figure that is not in shot, and that person is speaking through an interpreter who keeps engaging the minister and translating for him whatever is said by the other person who is supposed to be in the sheikh, who is out of view, and the interpreter is also out of view. And then the proceedings continue. Now, the full documentary is 35 minutes, but the part about Charles Edubuahin is not that long. It's not even up to a third of the, well, maybe around a third of the full documentary. Already the president has acted. There are issues of corruption or corruption-related offenses because the president has forwarded that to the Office of Special Prosecutor. The Office of Special Prosecutor has announced that it has commenced investigations. Let's speak to Vitus Azim. He's an anti-corruption crusader. He used to work with the Ghana Integrity Initiative. Mr. Azim, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. There was swift action by the president. I believe as people in the corruption space or anti-corruption space, you celebrate it. I don't know if you have seen the full documentary and if you really believe that there's some corruption in there somewhere.
You see, I'm not a lawyer, but I think there are two aspects of it. If it's influence peddling, it could be corruption. But if it's impersonation, maybe it's a different crime that should have gone to the police CID. So it depends on how you look at it. It could be corruption or corruption related, and that's the reason why the president referred it to the Office of Special Prosecutor. But it could also be impersonation. But the point that we all need to be careful to know about is that the letter that terminated upon said the president spoke to him, which means that the president spoke to him and got to know that he had done something wrong, and he probably admitted that yes, what the expose said is true, and that's why the president decided to go ahead and ask him to go.
If it was up to you, which angle would you be looking at the documentary from? Would it be the influence peddling bit or the imposition? And I'm not sure what you even meant by being an imposter.
No, impersonation.
Impersonation, yes.
I think that I would have looked at it from that point of view because we don't have evidence that he actually collected the money. Well, I haven't watched.
Okay, so in the video, he's shown collecting money, okay, but the sheikh who gave him that money, said it is tradition that when you come to a sheikh's palace, he gives you cola, and that was a cola he was giving to him to go use for shopping.
Yeah, but they see the chief. His father is probably chief, but he's not the chief. So I would have liked to look at it as impersonation because he's using the name of the vice president, and there's no guarantee, there's no proof, evidence that the vice president asked him to ask for those monies, and that when the money he collected actually went to the vice president. That's why I would have looked at it as impersonation rather than influence president. Well, in fact, it's a bit difficult to separate the two. But influence person also means going to say, oh, I'm in a position, I'm close to this guy. If you give me this, I'll do it to you. So it depends on how the investigation come out. It could be either of them.
Now, the president has proceeded by removing his minister. Do you think there are more people who should be involved in this? And there are even people who is also raising issues of ethical matters as to how the investigation was conducted. I will talk about entrapment and so on. Do you think this matters, or so far as you're involved, regardless of what the procedure was?
You see, the work, I don't know the details of the work of an investigative journalist. But if you are not a corrupt person, if you're not a criminal, and you're walking by and you see something lying down that is not yours, you won't pick it. So I don't agree with the issue of entrapment.
Even if you're given something as cola, which is offered you in a palace for you to use to do shop.
Cola for doing what? You must have been given the cola for doing something or be asked to do something. So I don't want to agree with the issue of entrapment. Look, in the video, in previous videos, monies were offered to certain people and said, no, they won't take it. So if you took it, what is the entrapment? As someone at that level, you should have even known the possibility of entrapment. So if you took it, the investigative journalists would have probably heard and known that this is what happens within your that's what you have been doing. And that's why they even thought about coming to you for the entrapment. Are you the only one that was in that position that they decided to entrap. So for me, I don't want to agree issue of entrapment. It's a strategy that investigative journalists use, not just in Ghana, but in other places. And Anas has used this at other places, used it with the case of the judges and all that. And people were sacked as a result. So that alone should have been enough for people to know that, look, who is this person that I'm taking this money from? What is the rationale, motivation for coming to make this offers to me? So I think that if you're not a corrupt person, if you're not a criminal, if you're not interested in taking money for your personal gain, somebody just comes offers you money for a favor, you're not yet, even in a position to give that favor, you don't take those money.
Very well. Thank you. We'll be watching that space, and thank you so much for speaking to us.
You're welcome.
That's Vitus Azim. He was with the Ghana Integrity Initiative, GII. There's a critic of Anas's work, and I must say that a number of people have given their public commentaries on social media since watching that video, which video has now been shared on his Facebook post. There have been commendations and condemnations of the work of Anas Arimiao Anas. I'm looking at the daily graphic of today, and there's a piece in there, an opinion piece by Elizabeth Ohini. Well, I don't know if I should describe it as a retired journalist, not necessarily, maybe a retired editor of the Daily Graphic, former BBC journalist, and so on. She has written in the Daily Graphic, and there are things that she describes as queasy things. And one of the subheadings, let me just read that for you. It says, a number of queasy things emerge from the accounts of this video. Not sure if it qualifies as a documentary, but that is another story. I believe Anas Arimiao Anas and his team owe us some explanations. If, as it turns out, this incident with Charles Edubuahin was filmed back in 2018, why have they kept it under wraps all this while, and why have they chosen this time, November 2022, almost 5 years later, to release it? If in their judgment, they saw what transpired in that hotel room in the United Arab Emirates as so reprehensible, why have they kept it for almost 5 years? They have looked on while Charles Edubuahin served a full term as Deputy Minister of Finance in the first Akufo-Addo government. They looked on while Charles Edubuahin was nominated by the re-elected President Akufo-Addo as a Minister of State and vetted by Parliament and sworn into office. They have looked on as Charles Edubuahin has performed his duties as Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance. In the intervening 4+ years, one must wonder what they were doing with their film and what relationship, if any, they had with the Minister of State. Hello, Mr. Edubuahin. Good morning. Just calling to check up on you and to make sure you remember your encounter with the sheikhs in the hotel room. Hello, Mr. Edubuahin. Good evening. We saw a picture of you today with a high-powered delegation from some foreign country talking high finance, and we just remembered your encounter with the sheikhs in the hotel room in the Emirates. Hello, Mr. Edubuahin. Good afternoon. We do hope you are having a good day. You are on the radio speaking about the government's plans for the next 5 years, and we thought you might want to remember your encounter with the sheikhs in the hotel room. Hello, Mr. Edubuahin. Long time. We are doing a clear out of the closets in our offices, and we came across some old canned films, and we were wondering if you still remember your encounter with the sheikhs in the hotel room so long ago. The story continues. Explanations. We deserve some explanation, just as our minds don't wander. Nobody is ever likely to emerge smelling roses when associated with dollars in black plastic bags, and once there is a scene captured on camera of the then Deputy Minister stuffing monies into a plastic bag, it was fair to conclude his fate was sealed, in spite of the fact that he said in the course of his unnecessary premature counting of dividends that he believes in working for his money. That stuffed plastic bag paints a picture of greed. It is not disclosed in the video how much there was of the dollars given to him as shopping money, and he must have cursed himself 1,000 times before that day he didn't turn down the offer. The concluding part, Elizabeth Oni says, as far as the parts in the video in which the Vice President was the subject are concerned, I am going to stick to the then Deputy Finance Minister saying, the Vice President is not really like that. I am also mindful of the fact that we were taught to resist what lawyers call leading questions when conducting interviews. Tiger Eye says this was a documentary aimed at exposing those making Ghana unattractive for investors and cut deals at the expense of the state. If indeed they had managed to, quote-unquote, penetrate the modus operandi of these people and had then kept silent for almost 5 years, they must be almost guilty of collusion. We need some answers. So that's Elizabeth Ohini writing in the Daily Graphic. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are coming to you from our studios in Adabraka in Accra. Let's know what you also have to say about the stories we are bringing you tonight. You do know the platforms on WhatsApp or also on Facebook. Please stay with us.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Erazi TME. Erazi increment in my salary. This is all I ask this season. Erazi Bwame.
Mpaibo Mbappe, please stop disturbing God and switch your salary account to Access Bank now to get a triple salary.
Oh yes, it's as simple as that. Switch your salary account to Access Bank Empower Salary Account and stand a chance of winning 3 times your monthly salary. You heard me right. 3 times your salary. Also win exciting prizes like school fee scholarships, free DSTV subscriptions, interest-free loans, free insurance cover, cashback rewards, and a lot more by spending a minimum of 500 Ghana cedis with any of our Visa card. Promo runs from now to 30th April 2023. This promo is in partnership with NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform. Terms and conditions apply. Access Bank, more than banking.
The Association of Ghana Industries, in collaboration with the Ministry of Trade and Industry and Ghana Standards Authority, present the 11th AGI Ghana Industry and Quality Awards. Theme: leveraging public-private collaboration to accelerate sustainable industrial development. Guest of honor: His Excellency the Vice President, Dr. Amadu Baumia. Date: Saturday, 26th November. Time: 6 p.m. at the Accra International Conference Center. Major sponsors: GATSM, National Petroleum Authority, Olam Agri, Wilma Africa, Unilever, B5 Plus, Nexons, Sarmatex, Activa International Insurance, Goyle, Development Bank Ghana, GCB Bank, and Silver Star Auto. Co-sponsors: Casa Perco, Coca-Cola, Accra Brewery, Guinness Ghana Brewery, Sleek Garments, and Africa Health Supplies. For tickets, call 0547 474871. Be part of this excitement.
My man, I heard there's a new app on the streets that does it all for you.
Really? How is that possible?
Charlie, I also could not believe it too. But I downloaded the app and I'm telling you, I was able to chat with my friends, make video calls, and...
Well, we know of many apps that can do that.
Oh, let me finish, la. I was also able to listen to the latest songs, play games, and read the latest sports news.
For real?
Yeah, and I can send and receive money from the app. Amazing, no?
What's the name of this app?
It's called Ayoba.
Ayoba?
Yeah, Ayoba.
Get Ayoba, your all-in-one app that lets you chat, call, share, play, pay, and listen to music all in one app for everyone. Enjoy Ayoba with MTN and download the Ayoba app today. Everywhere you go.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News and Eyewitness News, powered by CitiBusinessNews.com. My name is Akosua Otchere. Coming up, the LPG Marketers Association is predicting a 25% decline in consumption of LPG by the close of the year. And later, Italian Embassy in Ghana highlights commitment to investing in the country's agribusiness sector. Let's settle for the details. The LPG Marketers Association is predicting a 25% decline in consumption of LPG by the close of the year. This, according to the association, is as a result of taxes on the product, which has culminated in price hikes recorded in months past. Currently, a kilogram of LPG is selling at 15 Ghana cedis, 90 pesos, but consumers are expected to pay 10% higher for the product. Speaking to Citi Business News, the Vice President for the LPG Marketers Association, Gabriel Kumi, says if no intervention is made soon, the price of the commodity will continue to soar.
We have been calling for government to ensure that the LPG is affordable. And one of the things we've been pushing for is the removal of taxes from LPG. We believe LPG must be made tax-free. Of course, we are not saying removing the tax will push every Ghanaian to consume LPG, but as we all know, LPG is highly price sensitive. Any single peso that you remove from the price of the product goes a long way to affect its consumption. Unfortunately, LPG consumption has taken a nosedive. It's on the decline now in Ghana. Our projection is that by the end of this year, we will go down by about 20-25% as against last year. Consumption of LPG will go down by about 20-25%. Last year, we did an average of about 28,000 metric tons. But this year, as at October, we had done an average of about 24,000 metric tons. And that dip continues to deepen because as the price rises, consumption also decreases. So if drastic measures are not taken immediately to bring the price of LPG down, LPG consumption will continue to suffer.
Vice President of the LPG Marketers Association, Gabriel Kumi. Now, over 100 individuals have benefited to the tune of about 20 million cedis as part of the sectorial expansion of the COVID-19 response grants program. The Ghana Enterprises Agency had earlier opened an online portal for the application of the second phase of the COVID-19 grant for small and medium-scale enterprises, with a wider reach that could not be covered in the first phase. This is coming after a successful implementation of the first module, which benefited almost 400 businesses. Speaking to the media on the sidelines of the grant contract signing ceremony, Chief Executive of the agency, Kosi Yanke-Aye, added that the program has so far been successful.
The idea behind it was to try and transform the economy post-COVID. And it seems like COVID never really left anybody in the world. And so to be able to support that, this program was to provide access to funding and technical assistance support. But one main component was the COVID response grant. So under the COVID response grants, we provided support, we provided funding to build the businesses and to stabilize them. And in the first phase, over 370 plus businesses were supported. Then we came to the second phase, which is what it is that we are working on now. In this current second phase of it, we've already done disbursements for the first group. We're currently at the second group phase, which is what you see today. And the idea is to give them access to funding based on the applications they had put together to build and grow their businesses and to support them. So we looked across the spectrum, women, persons with disabilities. This time we paid a close attention to it. So when the project's first phase ended, we made a strong case to the World Bank and the Ministry of Finance. And the case we made was that there's still a major need, because you still see that there are a lot of businesses that hadn't received part of the funding. And they were generous enough to give us the funding that would help them, the funding that would help them grow their businesses and support them over time. And that's what we see today.
So that was Chief Executive of the agency, Kosi Yanke-Aye. Phoenix Life Assurance has merged with Ghana Union Assurance to form Impact Life, which will provide quality life insurance services to customers across the country. The alliance between the two insurance companies is an unprecedented move in the life insurance sector. Addressing the media at the launch of the merger, Chief Executive Officer of Impact Life, Sharif Abudu, pointed out measures his new outfit will take to increase insurance participation in the country.
Good. So what we're going to do, one, most guys are using technology already, which is good. Brilliant. We are going to also use technology. That's one. We're going to sell our products through the website. That's two. And also do cross-selling, because we realize that most people in the informal sector are just comfortable with the informal sector operations. But we want to also expand their scope for them to come into the retail space and even try to cover small-scale businesses at the corporate level, like compensation for workman's compensation, injuries, personal accidents, and hospitalization. So once we get that done, automatically we will increase the insurance penetration level gradually over time. In the next 10 years, it won't be like this. It will be bigger.
Sharif Abudu is the Chief Executive Officer of Impact Life. Now, away from that, the Italian Embassy in Ghana has reiterated its commitment to investing in the Ghanaian agribusiness sector. The embassy maintains that its efforts in ensuring sustainable business avenues with its Ghanaian partners will yield positive results for both parties. Speaking on the sidelines of the 7th edition of the Italian Cuisine Week, the Italian Ambassador to Ghana, Her Excellency Daniela Dolandi, disclosed that it has committed close to €500 million to business deals in Ghana since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic.
To this celebration, many Ghanaian companies are taking part because this evening there are many prominent businessmen from Italy and also from Ghana, the main importers here in Ghana of Italian wines and also Italian producers. And as the embassy and the Italian Trade Agency, we work together to promote more opportunities for business between Ghanaian and Italian companies in all sectors, but with a special focus on the agribusiness sector, agro-food. While the trade volumes, notwithstanding the COVID pandemics, are quite important because last year in 2021, the total volume reached €500 million, and we hope that it will increase. And in fact, the embassy and the trade agency have been supporting trade missions of Ghanaian companies to the most important fairs in Italy, including in the vegetable and fruit sector.
Italian Ambassador to Ghana, Her Excellency Daniela Dolandi. Meanwhile, the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Herbert Krapa, says business operators should be deliberate in building a sustainable business network that will complement the efforts being made by government in the sector.
It's all an avenue of increasing government and the private sector dialogue to ensure that we are activating more businesses. I think what has been lacking for some time is how we are able to be deliberate about those things that help to drive businesses, those things that allow us to recognize where the opportunities are, and then we can give capacity to Ghanaian businesses to take advantage of those. I've met different producers also here who I see that are making contacts with Ghanaian businesses as well. And I think increasingly we have to pay more attention to such approaches. In Barbados, a couple of months ago, I said that tourism and trade are bedfellows. And we have to pay attention to how we bring the two a bit more closely together. Inter-institutional ministerial collaboration, I think, is the way. And we have to, I like this style, I like this approach, and I think we have to encourage it.
Voice of Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Herbert Krapa. And that's it for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. It was powered by your most comprehensive business website, citibusinessnews.com. My name is Akosua, Otchere. Up next is Point Blank.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
If your landlord say come up for house,
hello? Is that the Ghana police? I can't find my husband though. He is not picking up his call and he hasn't been home in 2 weeks.
Have you checked his office?
I have.
Have you checked with your in-law?
I did that too.
Do you have any property elsewhere apart from where you are now?
Officer, it's only a piece of land. We are just about to start building our 4-bedroom property. I doubt he's there.
Madam, please go and check and report back to the police.
Taxi! Hey, Osai, when did you you complete this property?
Well, whenever I spoke to you about taking a home construction loan from First National Bank, you brushed me off. So I went ahead and took the loan. I missed out on Yoho, so I decided not to miss out on Build Up 2022.
First National Bank is offering up to 1.5% reduction in your interest rate when you apply for the home construction loan. Be part of Build Up 2022. Call 0800-770-522 or 0242-435-050 today to get started. First National Bank, Bank of the Changeables. First National Bank. How can we help you?
Fine, anyone can become the house owner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, anyone. Whether market woman, student, professional, even fisherman or cobbler. YouGoFlip, a real estate gaming platform that allows you to play and stand the chance of winning a house, cash, or other prizes, such as savings towards a house. Simple and easy to play. Visit www.yougoflip.com. Buy a ticket to enter the game. Wait for the end of the game to enjoy the win. Anyone can win.
Contact us on 0555222490.
YouGoFlip. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Play responsibly, not for persons below 18 years, and gaming can be addictive.
But why all this laughter?
Kwaku gave me 6,000 cedis for shopping for some electrical appliances.
Yes, what about that?
I came home with exactly what he ordered, and I still had 3,000 Ghana cedis on me.
Wow, but it's only NASCO offering this promotion this season.
Of course, yes, it's NASCO. You think you are the only one who knows NASCO brings home happiness? He's been wondering why I don't ask him for money after the shopping.
That's 50% discount power. This season, a NASCO massive discount It's NASCO new promo. What are you waiting for? This season, we are offering massive discounts up to 50%. Yes, on selected items from NASCO.
Call 0242-439-437. NASCO, bring home happiness.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens. This is Point Blank on Eyewitness News. My name is Umaru, Sanda, Amadu. Tonight on Point Blank, we're looking at two issues: NDC politics in the Eastern region, specifically the Itiwa West constituency. Also that scary story, if you like, a worrying story that we've seen, that the Minister for Health says a number of our doctors still do not want to be posted to the rural areas unless they are given some incentives. How are we going to deal with that particular issue? It's up for discussion here on Point Blank. My name is Umaru, Sanda, Amadu, and you're welcome. The first story takes us to the Eastern region, and some NDC members in the Itiwa West constituency are calling on the Functional Executive Committee of the party to uphold an earlier decision to annul the constituency elections which were conducted under what they describe as strange circumstances. One of the persons making the call is Julius Caesar Duffley. He's Itiwa West NDC constituency aspirant. Julius Caesar, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. I hope I got your surname correct.
Good evening. Yes, so that's right.
It's Duffley.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, tell us what the genesis of this your problem is.
All right. Thank you very much. and good evening to your listeners. I hope you are all aware of our internal elections. It started from the branches, the constituency, and now we are dealing with the regional elections. Our constituency elections was slated on 22nd and 23rd of October. So as we were preparing for the elections, a day to the elections, some members who felt they were not treated well at the branches during the branch elections went to court to seek a court injunction restraining the constituency elections from taking place. So based on that, announcement was made. We had a call from the police that the election cannot take place because the police has been served with court injunction. The Electoral Commission also received same and the party. So the election was supposed to be put on hold. So the following morning, then we heard the constituency chairman has organized some people to meet and conduct the election. All this happened in the absence of the Electoral Commission. And we see it as a clear violation. We see it as a clear violation of our party constitutions and the guidelines for the conduct of the constituency election. So these are all some of the issues that we are raising that is making the constituency elections null and void. And true to that, the Functional Executive Committee on 26th of October, after reviewing the constituency election, annulled the results and called it null and void. And on the 9th of October, they further upheld or stated that their decision of annulment has not changed. So what we are calling on the Functional Executive Committee is they should stick to their decision and come up with a new date for a fresh election to be held. Because what was held earlier on, we see it as unfair, not transparent, so it was not democratic, and it was conducted to satisfy a parochial interest by our incumbent constituency chairman.
Okay, so did the election happen though?
The election happened.
And Mr. Johnson and a number of other people were elected?
Yes, they were elected.
So you hold the view that they should not be elected. They should not have been elected
at all.
I want you to stay on the line briefly and then hear Mr. Emo Johnson. He's joined us on the line. Mr. Emo Johnson, Constituency Chairman, Etiwa West, NDC. You're welcome to Eyewitness News, Point Blank.
Thank you, sir.
When your party members say you are not supposed to call yourselves as executive because the election that ushered you in ought not to have even been conducted, what would you respond? What would be your response?
Thank you very much and good evening to your listeners. I think it's worth noting that our party has some internal structures that all grievances and disputes are being laid before. And to the best of my knowledge, the colleague on the other side, who was aspiring to become the constituency secretary, they had written a petition to the National Functional Executive Committee. And for that matter, they have been called and they have been heard. I deal with the structures of the party. And since we are still in waiting to get the outcome of the petition that we were served and we did respond to, I cannot speak to the substantive matter because it is still before FEC for consideration.
So your election currently holds, doesn't it?
Hello?
Your election, you believe, holds until FEC makes a determination?
Exactly the point. We are constituency executive elected, and we have been sworn into office.
And this is with the endorsement of the National Party?
That is the regulation that we are working with.
Okay, so if your election was conducted in the absence of officials from the EC and without supervision from the Regional Elections Committee of your party, and despite a court injunction, according to the members, how legitimate can you hold yourselves to be?
You see, that is why it is very strange that who served the injunction, and it was served on who? Does the police represent National Democratic Congress? The Ghana Police Service has no business in dealing with National Democratic Congress and our internal party affairs. And nobody should just even make this unwarranted claims that because the police has been served. The party was not served. In the books of the party, nobody has served any party official in connection with the said injunction. It was just a rumor mongering. And they were using it as a tactic to get people not to attend to the conference. And come and see. People were there in their numbers. Delegates were there.
Were there Electoral Commission officials?
You see, Electoral Commission works, according to our guidelines, Electoral Commission works under the guidance of the Constituency Election Committee. So if I'm providing guidance to you before you do your work, if you are not there, what stops me from doing the work, which originally I can do and I can perform?
Yes, but it doesn't answer the question. Was EC there? No.
No. EC says we have injuncted, but the party was not injuncted.
How about the regional? How about the Regional Elections Committee?
The Regional Election Committee was the one who came to supervise the project. They brought the ballot papers. How did we get the ballot papers? If it is not who provided the ballot papers? I think let the young man be thorough. Let the young man be thorough.
No, Julius, nobody's hearing you. So if you kindly stop what you're doing, so we can hear the chairman, and I dispatch him and come to you. So, chairman, please conclude.
I'm saying that the election materials are under the armpit of the Regional Elections Committee, who work hand in hand with the Constituency Elections Committee. And for that matter, nobody can reason up to the fact that Regional Election Committee did not supervise the elections. How did we get the election material, especially the ballot papers? How did we get it? Because it was not printed here. It was printed by National through the region. And we had it through the regional chairman of the election committee.
Very well. Thank you. That's Amadu Johnson, his constituency chairman for Etiwa West NDC. Let me conclude, Julius. You've heard him there. He didn't print the ballot papers in your village. He got it from Accra, which means the party has endorsed it, despite all the issues you've claimed. What options are left for you?
Before I respond to that, it seems my constituency chairman is not aware of the party constitution, because Article 38, Clause 9E of the party constitution states clearly that it is the electoral commission that should conduct all our party elections, with the exception of the branch elections. So it seems my constituency chairman is not even aware of the party constitution. That's why he violated and did what he did. So if my constituency chairman can respond to the question that why did he call off the conference? Because he said conference should be called off because he has been served with the court injunction. Therefore, delegates should go home and take further notice. A new date will be fixed for the election to be held. Why did he make that pronouncement?
But were there no ballots cast? Were there no ballots cast?
The ballot papers were brought in. They were just delivered by the regional election director, and he left.
But did they not cast the ballots? Didn't people vote?
The ballot was cast. Okay. And do you know what happened, Amadu? Do you know what happened? The constituency director of elections, the election committee chairman for the constituency, did not even know that there was an election. He heard the result the following day. This is because he called off conference. He said everybody should go home. And all the other the opposing aspirants, they left because he has called off conference. Okay. Because there was an injunction, the police also left. And it is interesting to know that the conference was organized in his hometown, and because there was no police, when the police left, he organized a movement to attack with the opposing candidates. We have to leave the town. Okay. He called the police said there was an injunction. In the first place, the election was not supposed to be held. So they can't come to the rescue of anybody. So per the security advice, we were informed to leave the place if you really want to protect our lives.
Okay, thank you for speaking to us. I think
you want us to
take part in this election, and can you call this election free and fair?
I'm sorry, let's leave.
All the opposing parties were not around.
I'm sorry, we have to leave it here. Thank you. That's Julius Caesar Daffley, rather. He's a Tiwa West NDC constituency aspirant, and they are not happy with what happened there. Let's move to health matters now. Our Minister for Health has made an announcement that is a bit scary. He says a survey that has been conducted by government reveals that medical doctors are demanding for 40% of basic salaries as incentive allowances for acceptance of postings to deprived communities. Let's speak to Dr. Justice Yangson. He's Vice President of the Ghana Medical Association. Doc, the issue of incentives for postings is not new. But if doctors are demanding 40% of basic salaries before they go, that's going to be a big drain on government coffers, and that would ultimately mean that doctors who are supposed to be posted will not go. For instance, we are told that the minister said out of 10 doctors posted to the Otchere region, only one reported to work. That is a problem, isn't it?
Umaru, I think we need to put certain things in context and the right perspectives as well. I listened to the minister, and he said that recommendations from a working group that included the health professionals, i.e. doctors and other cadre of health professionals, as well as with support from the WHO and some consultants, and then personnel of the Ministry of Health itself, have put together a certain document that they are looking at, and the recommendations were what he mentioned. And the recommendations, he did use the word health professionals. So let's not let it look as if that doctors have gone out to say certain things. But what is most important is that we have inequitable or maldistribution of health professionals generally, and doctors in particular. And as an association, we just ended our annual conference in Bolga. That was actually the theme of our conference. We sought to find how best we can address this problem. We've also made appeals to our own members. But beyond that, there are certain principles that we cannot run away from. And one of it is what we just mentioned, the issue of incentives for health professionals. This is a strategy that is practiced the world over, both in developed, underdeveloped, and maybe you can even say developing countries. Because there is always a drift of professionals generally, not doctors alone, to urban areas at the expense of deprived areas. So if you go to the United States, if you go to Europe and all other places, you find this problem existing. And what they have done, which the WHO also endorses, is to put in strategic incentive packages, both monetary and non-monetary, to make sure that you are able to attract and also retain these much needed professionals in some of these deprived areas to help ensure that the right kind of quality health services are provided. And that is the kind of thing we are talking about. So at this point, it is important that the minister ensures that these recommendations that have come to the fore are implemented effective now. That is the only way we can help check some of these problems.
But how bad is the situation, Doc? I'm sure you've been hearing reports from your association members. How bad is the situation for a doctor who's been posted to any of the rural communities?
You see, let me say this. Sometimes we want to play ostrich, but doctors are highly trained professionals who are well sought after by a lot of countries, especially the Ghanaian doctor. Look, take all the professions you have in this country and find out how many of them you see these professionals in their numbers working in rural areas. So let us not look like it is doctors. But if we want to prioritize health service delivery, then it is important that we put in this kinds of measures. Now, as I said earlier, we just finished our conference. We published a communique. But what is clear is that the maldistribution or inequitable distribution cannot continue to happen. When we talk about posting, nothing compels a man to work for any employer, be it public or private. So if we just want to use posting as a tool and think that it will help resolve these problems, then unfortunately we might be getting it wrong, because it keeps happening. You post people, and at the end of the day, they may end up working, say, in the cities or leave the country altogether. What it is that the law of the cities and what, let's say, the private sector is ready to give them, the sort of, in quotes, social, services available to them in the cities and their families are such that they will always prefer to be here. Some generally, because of their own family dynamics, they may even have to leave the country and what have you. But we need to be strategic and put in certain packages that will let people go to some of these underserved areas, serve, and then at some point, if they need to move on, they can move on. Others can also go. Until such a time we are able to do these things, we'll continue to have these problems. As we speak, we are putting up Agenda 111 project. A fantastic idea, a fantastic project that the Ghana Medical Association actually endorses. But just putting up those structures without taking care of the human resource aspect will not lead to a transformation of our healthcare delivery system. And that is why we need to start prioritizing some of these arrangements to ensure that we get the right set of professionals to work in these areas, because, for example, 88 out of the 111 are in districts without any district hospitals, and most of them are not in Accra or Kumasi. They are in underserved areas. We need to get people there. The working conditions of the professionals when they get there and the opportunities to upgrade themselves professionally sometimes don't exist in all these areas. So we have cataloged a lot of things that should be done. We made presentations when this working group was sitting. We were also involved. And beyond what the minister read, we have comprehensive policy or position papers that we submitted. So it is all about ensuring that we put in strategic measures to attract and retain. As we speak, if you go to the Upper East region, for example, the number of doctors there are very few, serving a population of almost 1 million. The number of doctors are just not inadequate. And we need to put in strategic measures to ensure that we send people there. If you want to just follow up on posting, each year you post, and you have less than 10% of the people going to these places to work.
Well, at least you've allayed our fears largely. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Doc.
Most welcome, my brother.
That's Dr. Justice Yangson. He's Vice President of the Ghana Medical Association. And that's how we end tonight's edition of Eyewitness News. My name is Umaru, Sanda, Amadu. Production by Sixtus Dong Ulo with support from Neil Lati. The technical support from Daniel Squashi. And of course, the new media team here at Citi FM and Citi TV also helped with the Facebook live feed that we've been bringing you. Thank you for listening to us. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM, relevant radio always.